So hopefully the site that you see in front of you is somewhat familiar here. This is sort of the landing page for your Boston University planning site. And again, you'll be able to access the site and enter this content in a handful of different ways. I'm going to show examples of how to do each of those. Feel free to chime in with questions, again, either via the chat box, or you can feel free to unmute yourself at any moment. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the planning site here. The first place you're taken to is always this announcements page. I assume this video will eventually be posted on this announcements page as well, but there's some helpful information here about including a training video and other information about the assessment reports and the plan component as well. Your jumping off point in the site is this My Dashboard area. That's really going to give you a screenshot and sort of a direct access to where you need to be contributing content in the site and sort of your program's area for entering content and updating either your program outcome plans and contributing that annual report information. Since I'm going to be looking at some various examples across the institution, I'm going to navigate to this institutional tab to show you those various examples. So there are three methods for how you can enter your program outcome plans. You can contribute that content directly into the site via forms that are set up within this Program Learning Outcomes Assessment tab. You can, and then there are other ways to attach various levels of documentation. I'm going to begin by looking at the School of Theology. They have opted to utilize the forms that exist within the site. That's this sort of red circular icon here. It is the Program Outcome Plan. So for these items, for each of their outcomes that they are mapping out, they entered that information directly into the site. It's the same questions that are asked in that grid format that we looked at when we were in the slides. They are supplying the method of assessment, the evidence needed, and so on. The benefit of utilizing this system and entering it into this form is it does allow for sort of it is much easier to go in depth and add additional text and content and sort of narrative to the information here and as you're responding to these for each individual outcome. You can come back into the site at any point in time to add additional updates. And individual users can either be assigned to the particular outcomes that they're responsible for, or folks can easily come in and review content or utilize this sort of as a shared workspace. So again, they have done that for each of these outcomes here that they are mapping. If somebody in this area or you want to go into your area and add a new program outcome plan directly within the planning site, you would go to this Add New Item dropdown and select Program Outcome Plan. From there, you would need to add an outcome statement or a brief outcome statement here. And then I always recommend saving early and saving often. And then you could either go ahead and close out and come back later and add additional content or start filling in the information for this method of assessment and the various other items that you're being asked to contribute for this program outcome plan. So while you're able to map out these individual items and really dive in great depth with each of these outcomes and assign particular responsibility to individuals within your program, if you would like to do so. While this is sort of individual mapping component, you're also able to collect this information in one singular location, which is something that I want to highlight as well. So in addition to having these sort of individual workspaces within your unit in the site, you are also able to get this information out via the Reports tab into one sort of comprehensive program outcome plan document. So if you navigate to reports, one of these sort of templated reports that is available for you here is called Program Outcome Plans. So it's a summary of all of the outcome plans, and when you select Generate, you are able to either look at this information as a PDF, Microsoft Word document, or an Excel spreadsheet. And when you generate that report, it's going to pull in that information in real time and showcase all of those various outcomes that you have mapped out in the site here into one comprehensive document, either to share with others who are not working directly in the site, or just sort of have a comprehensive summary document here that looks at all of this information in one location. So again, that's available via the Reports tab within your particular unit as well. It's sort of a templated and pre-formatted report that can be generated at any given moment. Questions about utilizing this method? All right, so I certainly would encourage you to explore that option, come into the site, add a program outcome plan, and sort of get a sense of the feel for that process. In addition to being able to populate that content, great question. So there's a question here that says, do we enter this through my dashboard or institution? And now I'm particularly within the institution area because I'll be navigating to multiple locations in the site. I always recommend my dashboard as your jumping off point in the site when you're entering content, just because you'll have that much more limited view and scope of the organizational chart. You'll be taken really directly to your program. But through my dashboard, when you're in this program learning outcomes assessment area, you'll still have the same options available from this Add New Item dropdown, and you'll be able to go through those exact steps that I showcased to add a program outcome plan. Since I'm navigating...
We had a question.
Yep, go ahead.
So my general question was, do we, a general user, have access to that institution tab, or do we just have access to our own personal department?
Great question. And so currently I'm logged into the site as a site administrator, so I can sort of navigate between different areas. You do have access to this institutional tab. It will show you the various units and organizational structure in the site. However, it's not going to showcase any content that you don't have permissions to. So the distinction there is within the institution for sort of an individual user that has a role assigned for their particular program. You can navigate over to this institution area, but that doesn't override your permissions in the system. So you're still only able to view content that is something that's accessible to you in the site. So if you were to click on the School of Theology and Doctor of Ministry, you wouldn't see any content and you wouldn't have this Add New Item button unless that's where sort of your role and your permissions were assigned. That's why I recommend when you are going in to contribute content for your unit that you sort of stick to the My Dashboard area, because it will sort of be a more direct way to access that content and add that content for you as an individual user. Does that answer your question?
Colleen, we're always happy also to, this is Jillian, we're happy to share examples from other areas of the university if people would like that guidance, if it would be helpful. We have some examples that we have up on our website, but we'd be glad to give people access. They just need to contact me or Kelly, and we can, or Monty, and we can give them some, give them access to, or give them some examples to look at.
Excellent. And so next I'm going to showcase the other options that I mentioned that incorporate sort of uploading an attachment within the site. And to do so, I am going to actually navigate to the Questrom School of Business, because that's the method that they are taking advantage of in this case. So within management studies, you'll see this area looks distinctly different from the Doctor of Ministry area and sort of workspace in the site, because in this case, for management studies, they have the annual report document here, and they have opted to attach a document at the bottom here within this field. So if I navigate over to edit mode here within the annual report template, and again scroll down to the bottom where I have this area where I am able to upload a particular attachment, you can upload your program outcome plan in this location. If you hover over this eye bubble, there's a template available for you to utilize to fill in that program outcome plan. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this link, and you'll see I have an attachment here. So embedded right within that field is the grid format that we were taking a look at previously that incorporates these various fields and components for you to map out for each of your individual outcomes. So it's the same exact content that exists within the form that's embedded directly within the site, just a different format and option that's available to you here to download. Once you fill this information in, you can go ahead and save this file. And then upload the file into this particular box in a very similar manner in which you would connect or upload an attachment to an email. If I can figure out where I actually saved this. So you would go ahead and select that particular document. You have the opportunity to rename it at this point if you would like to, and then you would select Upload File. So that is another method that you have available to you that some folks in the School of Business are taking advantage of. You have this file uploader here and the template. When you're in edit mode, there's this eye bubble you can hover over to download that particular outcome template to utilize to map out your program outcome plans. Once you upload that document, of course, you'll want to make sure you save your changes or save and close when you're all set. So you can embed your program outcome plan directly into your annual report. If sort of the pros and cons there, of course, you have sort of that familiar document that you've seen before. So there's that aspect that is, nice to sort of have that familiarity component there. In terms of being able to contribute that same content, I would say that the form within the planning site certainly does lend itself well to going a little bit more in depth with the content there and providing some more narrative and context to your program outcome plans, like we saw with the amount of text that existed within those various outcomes within theology. That amount of content would not necessarily lend itself quite as well to that grid format. And we do really want you to have the same quality of content no matter which method you choose to utilize. The steps for completing this are rather simple, and it's within that familiar annual report area. So if that's what you're going to opt to utilize, you'll simply utilize this file uploader to attach your program outcome plan here. Questions about that method or any steps that you would like me to retrace there? Yep, I can absolutely show you how to use that method. again. So when you're in edit mode within your annual report, so I'll sort of close out here. Within this familiar annual report document, the final culminating field at the bottom of this form is an area where you can upload the program plan. Initially, when you open up an annual report or any sort of form that's already been created in the site, you're in a read-only mode. So to contribute that content and have access to that template that's available, you're going to navigate over to edit mode. Again, it's the last field here within your annual report. And when you hover over this eye bubble, you have the ability to download the program outcome plan template here directly. So if you click on this item, it's going to actually download that document for you. And you'll have access to this familiar grid structure of the program outcome plan. Perfect. So once you'll be able to edit this, save your changes, of course, and once you have done so, you can upload this file back into this particular box here. So those are the steps for option number 2. Again, there are certainly pros to that option and certain I'm probably a little bit biased towards the first method that I showed you, but I'll be happy to retrace any of those steps or have a greater in-depth conversation about the pros and cons of the various methods once we've taken a look at all of those. So if I navigate up to Business Administration MBA, this is where I can showcase the sort of third option for you to add this program outcome plan content into the site. So here we have that annual report template that this area has already filled out. So when they came in to add their assessment plan, they utilized option number 3, which was taking advantage of this file sharing form that exists in the site. To do so, you would go to that drop-down, add a new file sharing form, and you'd at least need a title to be able to go ahead and save and have access to the file libraries that exist here for you to upload your own program outcome plan document. So to showcase how they have done this, here they have their particular program outcome assessment plan. There is the ability to provide a narrative sort of description here of the file that you're uploading. And then the ability to attach a particular document here for that program outcome plan. Now in this case, this is a program and a unit that already had that content in a different format, and so they opted to simply utilize this file sharing component to upload a document that they had created that has that same content within the grid, just not necessarily utilizing that exact template within that Word document format. So this third option enables you to come into the site and simply add this file sharing option, potentially provide some narrative description of the file that you're uploading, and then upload any kind of document that contains that same content. In this case, it was an Excel spreadsheet. Here are all of when you're uploading a file, it does showcase the different file extensions that it's compatible with. The same steps that I showed you for uploading that document, just in this case, there was an in-house sort of version that existed that they wanted to utilize to attach their program outcome assessment plan. Any questions about option number 3 before I sort of quickly review our various options and methods here? All right, so I started today looking at an example within the Doctor of Ministry program here where they had mapped out all of their particular outcomes with utilizing the form that exists directly within your planning site. That's that program outcome plan area, which when you're within your unit, just the same as you would add an annual report, you can add a program outcome plan. Here you'll be able to have this content live within the planning site and have various individuals work on this information and work on this program outcome plan and contribute to it. In the case of the Doctor of Ministry program, they are taking advantage of the ability to also assign responsibility for these outcomes to individual users and have mapped out the various outcomes for their program directly within the site. This creates sort of a centralized workspace for this content. There is an activity log embedded within each of these outcomes, so you can see a history of any updates and changes in addition to archived versions. So you can look at previous iterations and changes that exist and have been made over time. While these items are being mapped out individually, there is the ability to get this information out of the site to share it externally as one comprehensive report of program outcome plans. And that exists within this Reports tab. In addition to being able to generate a report of your assessment reports, you can also generate a report of your program outcome plans. When you do so, you have 3 different formats that you can choose from. And when you generate that, it's going to create a report of the information that exists currently within your site. Sort of in real time, it's going to pull that information in. This is what the PDF format would look like. And again, it creates sort of that comprehensive summary document for all of that information. If you do like sort of that, still like that grid horizontal orientation format, then the Excel version might be the best format to take advantage of. The other options that you have for contributing this content are 2 methods that incorporate uploading attachments. You can upload an attachment directly into your annual report form. You'll need to navigate over to Edit to do so. And when you scroll down all the way to the bottom and hover over this eye bubble, you're going to have a template that's available to you there for you to then save and fill in that content here for each of your particular outcomes. Once you have saved that information, you can go ahead and upload that file directly into this box. If you want to, you can provide any additional narrative content if you would like to do so. Of course, you'll want to save and close after you're all set and have done that, gone through those steps. The other option that you have is to utilize and take advantage of this file sharing form that exists from the Add New Item dropdown and upload a document, potentially one that you have that already exists that goes over that same content, just might not be in the same format exactly as that particular outcome plan template that I just showcased. You'll have an option to provide, you can provide a description of the particular file that you're uploading, and then there are various file extensions that you can utilize to upload this content. And that way you have your program outcome plan sort of as a separate entity, not attached to your annual report, but you have that content uploaded into your program learning outcomes assessment area within the site. So no matter which of those 3 methods you choose, as I mentioned, really it's the content that matters more so than the method. Really having this information here is going to create sort of a centralized space so that all folks that have access to the site for your program can find this information easily. You can go back and reference it at the point of creating your next annual report. And if you ever have any new folks coming on board, or you need to be able to reference this information in the future, it will be stored here, and it can be updated here and utilized for years to come. Are there any questions about the methods here or any steps that folks would like me to review?
Hey, Colleen, I don't know if you're seeing any questions on your side in the chat pane. I just wanted to kind of, while people are maybe formulating that, I just wanted to go back to the original, kind of some of the content you started with to say, there are 3 methods for entering this information in the system. The real, I think, crux of the process is the collaboration that goes into developing a plan that people know about, agree to, and that there is that faculty participation in deciding how to approach this. And then there are lots of different ways to enter the information into the Campus Lab system once that initial collaboration has happened.
Absolutely. And is there another, I'm happy to navigate anywhere within the presentation component as well, if there's another slide you would like me to highlight.
No, I think, and it will be in the recording as well, I just wanted to highlight that as well, that the Campus Lab system, I think, makes it very easy for us to share this information. We can add as many users as people want from their departments, as many faculty members as need to have access. We know that when our accreditor comes to visit, that they can go into departments and ask faculty about outcomes assessments. So we want this to be something that's visible, available to everyone, and have it be something that people have participated in.
And so we do have a question here that says, can you showcase examples of possible measurements, direct versus indirect, and also can we email the slides? So I certainly, we can email the slides, and let me actually go to that particular slide that looks at the particular measures as well. All right. So here we have a summary again of some of those indirect and direct measures that folks are utilizing, and also, we'll be able to, within the system, we're able to sort of pull top-level reports that look at who has indicated that they're utilizing direct or indirect measures. So as I know Jillian mentioned, there are some example programs that we can take a look at, but that also really enables us to easily sort of connect you potentially to other folks who have indicated that they're utilizing these sorts of measures within the site.